It's time for what America really needs. Faith, family, fitness, freedom. From the home of Pikes Peak, here are your hosts Jason Lupo and Aaron Lujan.
Welcome to Faith, Family, Fitness, Freedom on 100.7 The Word. I'm Jason Lupo, sitting here with my co-host Aaron Lujan.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest today, Raymond Garcia, candidate for County Commissioner in County Commissioner District 4. How you doing today, Raymond?
Good afternoon.
So before we start talking about county politics, I got to talk about this because I find it awfully amusing. We have another billionaire who's wanting to take a submarine, another little submarine, down to the Titanic. Now, just to set the tone, the estimate is that the rescue operation for Ocean Gate cost taxpayers close to $6.5 billion. So, I mean, we've got to make a stance at some point that says, look, if you want to do stupid stuff, you have every right to do it. Go for it. I understand if you want to explore. That's mankind has always wanted to explore. But if you want to be rescued, I think you ought to put a $6.5 billion down payment on the rescue operation before you take off. Or we're just not going to try to rescue you. What are your thoughts?
No, my thoughts, can I buy the tickets for Barack Obama and Joe Biden to go on that first trip?
I mean, you could try.
Check Ticketmaster.
Check Ticketmaster. But, it fluctuates based on need, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if Taylor Swift is on there, those tickets are going to, skyrocket, right?
Because
everybody wants to go to
Titanic. They're
Titanic
scalping
with Taylor.
tickets on Craigslist, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
They probably don't work.
No.
All right. Well, anyways, that was fun. But
Yeah.
we're going to talk. Today's focus is kind of on El Paso County politics. Raymond Garcia is running for County Commissioner District 4. Raymond, why don't you tell us why you are running for this seat?
Well, interestingly enough, I was asked by different people to run for different races on everything. In my district, everything but the U.S. Senate is up for this election. The State House, the State Senate, Congress, District 5, and Commissioner. So everything is up. And I had to look and see where I could do the most value, make the most difference. And interestingly enough, since nobody knows what a county commissioner actually does, they run the budget of the county. And I saw that and I said, well, we could defund the Dominion voting machines. That's where I can make the most difference.
Boom.
So that's why I decided to run for that seat.
So what is the, do you know what the total budget is of El Paso County? Do you have that figure?
I do not know that.
Yeah,
I haven't looked that up.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, they're taking care of the roads, they're taking care of infrastructure. Mm-hmm. I think one of the biggest kind of complaints that we've heard from a lot of people is the fact that we have this constant development that's going on. Mm-hmm. And I almost feel like the county is so far behind in not planning for the growth. And so we throw up houses before we put roads. We throw up houses before we've hired sheriffs. Mm-hmm. We throw up houses before we have utilities set up. And we end up with these problems. Then we go, why are things so bad? Well, it's because we didn't plan for growth.
Yep.
So, there's a couple hot topic items that we're going to get to, but we're going to take a brief time out. When we get back, we're going to continue this conversation with Raymond Garcia, County Commissioner, District 4 candidate.
Jason Lupo's my coach. Of course he makes me strong.
Of course he does the heavy lifting.
Of course he loves freedom.
Of course he makes me work hard. Of course he fights for what's right. Of course he cares about me. Of course he defends me.
Jason Lupo's my coach.
My teacher.
My leader.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course you should vote for him.
Hey everyone, I encourage you to vote for Jason Lupo for House District 20.
I'm Jason Lupo and I approve this message.
Paid for by Jason Lupo for Colorado.
Welcome back to Faith, Family, Fitness, Freedom on 100.7 The Word. I'm Jason Lupo, sitting here with my co-host Aaron Lujan and our very special guest, Raymond Garcia, candidate for County Commissioner District 4. I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to Aaron Lujan, who's going to ask our next question.
Ray, thanks for being on the show. I think local politics is the way we're going to win back the country. I think it's the pathway forward, so I salute you for running. Thank you for your service as a Marine Corps.
Hoorah.
I always tell people if I could do it all over again, I would have been a Marine. I wanted to, but that's a longer story. My question to you, is I Google Ray Garcia, Colorado, because I'm going to do my research. I'm sure like a lot of people
you did
listening.
That's funny.
And I get Ballotpedia, the Denver Post of Raymond Garcia that passed away back in 21. May he rest in peace. But then we got this Colorado Springs Gazette article. El Paso County Commission candidate has history of criminal charges. Can you address that really quickly?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I've been attacked by the media ever since I was running in 2016 in House District 1. They've been attacking me ever since because they don't like what I say. I was called a racist in Denver Post in 2016, and they had the picture of me with Vicky Tompkins, Rex Tompkins, and Casper Stockham. And that was the picture they had of us, and they said I was a racist. So here are 3 African Americans and me in there all holding, and they said I was the racist. I was like, yeah,
we're on radio. He has melatonin similar to mine. It's a little on the brown side.
Yeah. So anyway, the papers the media loves to attack me, and they go with anything they can. I did have problems in my past. I was in an abusive relationship back in 2003. Now before this, I had an immaculate record. I had an FFL, a federally licensed firearms dealer. I had a concealed weapons permit.
And for people that don't know, it requires basically a squeaky clean record.
Oh yeah, and more than.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't have 2 parking tickets. They would deny you for that kind of stuff. But anyway, my record was immaculate, and then I got into a relationship with a woman that was abusive, and she held it over my head that if I didn't do everything that she wanted, she was going to call the police, claim that I abused her, and get my FFL taken away. Because if you guys don't know this, you can lose your Second Amendment right without due process. If you have a domestic violence restraining order, they take away your right to firearms or ammunition. So as an FFL, if I got a restraining order against me, I would lose my business. And I had a successful business going. So she held that over my head for almost a year. And then one time when I went to a gun show in Las Vegas over the weekend, because I didn't take her with me, she blew up, trashed my house, broke into my safe, stole all my gold, silver, money, and then ran to New York. And she went to the police and told them I beat her. While I was in Las Vegas, she told them I beat her. So I come back to an arrest warrant, a trashed house, and an empty safe. So we went through the court date. Originally, it was for the restraining order, and then it was for a domestic violence charge. The restraining order was just the judge, and he saw that he could get rid of an FFL by giving this restraining order, so he granted it. Then we went to the domestic violence charge, and the jury was out a total of maybe 10 minutes. They came back not guilty. We took that back to the judge and said, well, there's no domestic violence, so there can't be a domestic violence restraining order. And he said that, and there was no propinquity either, because she lived in New York and I lived in Denver. So there was no way, But the judge came back and said that, no, he still thinks I was a credible threat. So he left the restraining order there, and I lost my Second Amendment rights.
Why do you think the Gazette's doing this in the manner in which they're doing it?
Because I can't be bought. I don't do what I'm told.
So Gazette is essentially in the hands of your opponents?
Oh, yes, by all means. Yeah.
Thank you for addressing that, just because Tupac once famously said the media is full of dirty tricks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's interesting enough, the woman that I was involved with, I found out later on, she did the same thing to the guy that she was with before me, charged him domestic violence. He took it to court and won. And the guy after me, his lawyer called me up to try and ask me to testify for him on his behalf with what I went through. At that time, I was like, I'm done with her. I don't want anything to do with her. So yeah, she did the same thing to the guy after me.
So it's kind of interesting, right? When the red flag laws came down, El Paso County should be a leader for conservative politics, right? We're one of the most conservative counties in the country. I've said that numerous times on the show. And we were one of the last, under Sheriff Bill Elder, one of the last counties to have our sheriff come out and say, no, we won't enforce these red flag laws. Way behind everybody else. And it's wrong. And I think we're still in this situation where El Paso County, our politicians are behind fighting what's going on up in Denver. And so I'm going to take a little bit of a twist because I was going to go to a different question, but I want to cycle back to this Second Amendment stuff. I think I hear all the time from constituents that claim that the county commissioners have nothing to do with the pro-life issue and have nothing to do with the Second Amendment issue. And it's wrong. And so can you kind of talk about what's going on when it comes to the Second Amendment through the county commissioners?
Well, interestingly enough, they are the ones that hold the purse strings for the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office would be the ones to implement the red flag laws, so they would have to go out and do that. If we put restrictions on that and say no, we are not going to follow this, they have to abide by that, or they get no funding. And that's another thing. With the sheriff's office, I had a great idea because we are understaffed in the sheriff's office. I mean, the police right now you get a call, you get an emergency call, and it's 30 minutes to get somebody out there because you have one sheriff's officer that is covering an area. It's just huge, and they can't do everything. So I had an interesting solution to this that really wouldn't cost the county anything. Where I grew up in northeastern Colorado, my family we've been here for over 150 years in Colorado. My father was in charge of what's called the sheriff's posse. You guys will probably know it as a citizen's posse. They are actual citizens that have some law enforcement background and strength. They can do all the stuff for the sheriff's department that the sheriff's department can't do. That is just taking up all their time, and that would free the sheriff's department to do the actual stuff that they have to, the emergency stuff they need to do.
Yeah, so, with so many different alcoves of like unincorporated El Paso County within the city, and then El Paso County going, what is it, like 40, 50 miles east?
Largest county, yeah.
It's a huge county, and it covers, I think 800,000 people now. Yeah. It's the largest county in the state.
Yeah, and everybody pays attention to Colorado Springs, and nobody pays attention to all the other areas, Yoder, and all. They're just, nobody even thinks about them.
Yeah, and I mean, all the way down in Fountain, right?
Yeah, and Fountain, all the way down to almost to the border of Pueblo.
Manitou.
Yep.
All of that is incorporated in El Paso County. So, one of the hot topic issues right now is obviously immigration. It's been the number one issue on a lot of Americans' minds. Can you talk about what's going on with the immigration issue in El Paso County specifically, and what you want to do to change that?
Yeah, I like what George Teal and the Douglas County commissioners of districts has done. When they have illegals, they ship them back to Denver. Denver is shipping them here, so they ship them back. They put them in the homeless shelters in Denver, and they don't have them in there.
Is that kind of like the only solution, though? Because at this point, it's still costing Colorado taxpayers, even if you send them back up to Denver. Yes, it is. Now, I understand that, you can give almost like a quote-unquote middle finger to Denver by shipping them back to Denver, but does it really solve the problem? And is it's still costing taxpayers millions of dollars to fund all this? Yes, it is.
So right now, we don't have the ability to do anything because the federal government is not backing us at all. They're the ones shipping them in here. So we have to do something. And Douglas County, it's effective for them. It's less money than supporting them. So,
Ray, what power would you have as county commissioner to be able to deal with immigration here locally?
The power of the purse is the only thing the county commissioners really have.
And how would that relate to immigration specifically?
So hold over, if you say we follow these, or you're not going to get funding. You have to do with this and this, or you're not going to get funding.
That seems to me like it would get things done.
I would think, but
is there a precedent for this where counties have put financial pressure to minimize immigration?
Douglas County is doing a wonderful job and George Teal, who I have been watching quite in depth. I really like what they're doing up there.
I really like this conversation because I believe the battle has been lost at the federal level. I think this problem can be solved at the local level, and I think you winning this election could set a really powerful precedent for the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of along the same lines where we have this immigration issue, and actually the immigrants are being housed and fed and given credit cards from the federal government and cell phones and all this other stuff. But we have a homelessness crisis where they're not being served.
Yeah.
And, how do we solve this homeless crisis, which is also an opioid crisis that is existing all throughout this country and very specifically in El Paso County to a large degree?
Yeah, interesting. Like you look in Denver, they're buying hotels. Our government is buying hotels so they can home these illegal immigrants that are coming in. I do gun shows on the weekends, and we used to do a gun show at I-70 in Chambers at the Crown Plaza Hotel, and The last gun show we did there was the last one we'll ever have there because they sold the hotel so that they can house illegal immigrants.
They're also buying skyscrapers.
They're buying skyscrapers.
They're buying skyscrapers,
yes.
and actually they're not buying them; they're leasing them. Even worse, right? The government doesn't even own it. We're
ridiculous prices.
We're paying somebody else money at taxpayers' expense to house immigrants, and we still have a homeless crisis for those that are not immigrants. Because now we've spent all the resources on people that aren't even citizens of the United States, and so we're just increasing the amount of homelessness that we have, and the people that have chosen to become homeless.
Yes.
Which is a whole nother issue. Can you speak on that a little bit?
And what the thing that really makes me mad about that one is that there are a lot of veterans that are homeless. And when we're taking care of illegals and not veterans, that is a shame. That is wrong. We should be taking care of our veterans first and foremost.
Absolutely.
And the main thing with it is the mental health part of it. There's a lot that just cannot transition from the war situations and then back into civilian life, so they're homeless. So
now, whose responsibility is it? And this is kind of an interesting question to make. But whose responsibility is it for the homeless population?
Well, there's a lot of people that are homeless for the fact that they just want to be homeless. They don't want to be part of the society where they have to pay for everything. They just want to be left alone. That's a big thing about America is they want to be left alone. That's what I want. I want everybody to leave me the hell alone. Get the government out of our lives. But when it comes to the homeless, they need help. If they want to be homeless, they're going to be homeless. That's all there is to it. But the people that actually need help, we need to get them some kind of help.
And is that the government's job to provide, or is it the private sector's job?
If they seek it out, it's beneficial for the government to help. The government shouldn't be seeking them out. They should be seeking out help. But the government should have something there that should be able to help them. That would benefit society. That's not just benefiting them.
So, like historically, throughout the years, it's always been kind of the church that has stepped up to
Catholic Charities is the big one. Yep.
So, I mean, is social services really the responsibility of the government? Like, in your opinion, we see an increased amount of social services being provided. What do you intend to do with that? Because it's skyrocketing at the cost of everybody else, and we have inflation. So we have hardworking Americans paying for the ones that don't want to
do anything,
and we're allowing it to take place.
So I believe in a hand up, not a hand out. So if the government was going to be doing anything, which I think Catholic Charities and those private organizations do a better job than the government ever could. If the government has to do something with that, a hand up instead of a hand out. So if you're getting benefits coming in there, you're asking for help, you need to be working for them, doing something. They have plenty of jobs that they can do.
I mean, I think we're at the point where, we've throughout the course of history, from the beginning of time, if you don't work, you don't eat.
Exactly.
And that's not what we have anymore because we've allowed people to live on this social services situation. And Paul talks about, to Timothy, the requirements to receive help from the church. And it would eliminate probably 95% of the people that are taking money from the government right now. There's probably only 5% of them who actually truly need help.
Actually need it, yeah. You're giving them a crutch.
And the whole point that Paul made was the church doesn't have the resources to pay for people that just don't want to work. And so that's what we're seeing with this drastic amount of social services that we're offering to these individuals.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see the government just go, you know what, we're not doing it anymore, and let's see what happens.
Amen.
Because I'm pretty sure that we're going to see a drastic difference in the workforce if we do that, and we're going to see a reduction in costs, a reduction in inflation, a reduction in cost of living, and everybody's going to be better off for it.
Hunger pains create job applications.
Exactly.
We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with Raymond Garcia, candidate for County Commissioner, District 4.
Full Armor Sports Teams has a new facility for after-school youth programs. It's located at 2380 Montebello near North Academy and Union with 2 pools for swim lessons and swim teams, a weight room for powerlifting, conditioning, and more. Full Armor Sports Teams is a Christ-centered and family-oriented organization bringing the youth of Colorado Springs together. For more info on after-school and homeschool programs, go to fullarmorsportsteams.com or call 719-629-SWIM.
Welcome back to Faith, Family, Fitness, Freedom on 100.7 The Word. I'm Jason Lupo with my co-host Aaron Lujan and our very special guest, Raymond Garcia, candidate for County Commissioner in District 4. Raymond, you are also the chair of the Colorado Hispanic Republicans. Can you talk about kind of the Hispanic community and their conservative values and what you're seeing in terms of mobilizing the vote in a Republican way across some of these other demographics?
Yeah, interesting. So, I am the chairman of the Colorado Hispanic Republicans. I'm the head of the whole board on that one. We just hired in 2023 Greg Lopez. Do you know who Greg Lopez is?
Love Greg.
Greg is awesome. I hired him as the president and CEO of this organization. You always hire somebody that's smarter than you to run your company, and he is so much smarter than I am. That guy is amazing. So our mission, and it's always been our mission, is to bring the Republican Party and the Hispanic community together, because Hispanics are conservative people. Our mantra basically is faith, family, and freedom, just like you guys, because that's exactly what they believe in. They are conservative people thinking, just that the Democrats have always told them that the Republicans are racist. And that's the Democrats' whole, the whole spiel that they have is that Republicans are racist. They can't tell us why they're good. They have to tell us why we're bad. And it's always been a lie. I mean, they're the ones that started the KKK. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was all passed by Republicans and all fought for by Democrats. The 19th Amendment was passed by Republicans, fought by Democrats. The Civil Rights Movement of the 60s, passed by Republicans, fought by Democrats. Jim Crow laws pushed in by Democrats, taken out by Republicans. The Republicans have always been there for the people, and Democrats have always been against them.
Why are Democrats winning the messaging battle?
That's all they have is messaging. So Democrats, they fight with emotion, not logic. Republicans have logic, not emotion. So we give all the facts, and that's not emotional. The people will get behind the emotion of it because, they're racist. Well, I don't want to be racist, so, But when you get to it, you look into it and see the truth behind it. You say, well, they're not racist. They've never been racist. How is this possible? But the Democrats will spin everything and, try and say that they are. But, when you don't have anybody there to go the opposite side, they're just going to believe the one side. And repeating a lie over and over and over, it will become the truth. I'll give you a point. How many whacks of the axe did it take Lizzie Borden to kill her father?
Don't know.
Yeah, Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her father 40 whacks. You ever heard that?
No.
It's been passed down for generations and generations. Well, Lizzie Borden didn't do it. She was acquitted. She didn't kill her. But everybody believes it is because there was an old saying, Lizzie Borden took an axe. So they keep passing that. They keep pushing a lie, and it becomes the truth in people's minds because they keep hearing it.
So we're going to kind of wrap this up. Final thoughts. Aaron Lujan, 30 seconds. What you got?
As an independent voter who's not particularly invested in local politics, let's pretend that I've been mesmerized by national media. Maybe I'm apathetic to local politics. What is your message to that person who's independent, who's looking at the ballot, doesn't really recognize any of the names? Why do they need to pull the lever for Ray Garcia?
If they don't know anything about it, I would say look into people. Look into your candidates. Do the research yourself. Find out about it. You can find everything you need to know about me on my website. It's electraygarcia.com. And the website for the company I work for, Colorado Hispanic Republicans, is Colorado Hispanic Republicans with an S.org. And you can find all the information for those right there.
Thanks, Ray.
Closing thoughts?
Vote Republican.
All right. And I think that a lot of these issues that we talk about race and a lot about these different demographics really spans from that social services issue. And we know that from years ago that the Dems figured out that if they could increase the amount of social services, get people reliant on the government, that they will have their votes for the rest of their lives. And that's what we've seen happen. This is Faith, Family, Fitness, Freedom on 100.7 The Word. You can find this interview at faithfamilyfit.org, as well as past episodes, and more information on Raymond Garcia and a link to his website will also be on our website, faithfamilyfit.org. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next Saturday at 9 a.m.
Thank you for having me.